Welcome to the RealTrending podcast, where we speak to the brightest minds in real estate about leadership, business growth, trends, and strategy. I'm your host, Tracey Velt. I'm the Senior Director of Data and Content for HW Media, which includes RealTrends and HousingWire. And today I'd like to welcome Mauricio Umansky. He is the founder of the agency, and they are ranked number 18 in sales volume and number 33 largest private independent real estate broker in the 2023 RealTrends 500 brokerage rankings. The firm was also a top one-year mover by sides, and Umansky recently wrote a book called The Dealmaker, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. The book offers his sage advice on business and also his personal story of struggles. So welcome.
Tracey, thank you so much, and what a great introduction. I did not realize we were number 18. That's my lucky number.
Great.
And so I'm thrilled that we're, what a great number to be at.
Yeah, you guys are killing it. I know you've had a really busy year with franchising, international growth, mortgage, title, home inspection, home warranty. You name it, you did it this year. So let's talk about your growth and some of the lessons that you've learned, really over the past year and growing so rapidly.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. It looks like we're growing rapidly, but we're really growing intelligently and slowly, believe it or not, even though it feels like it's extraordinarily fast. We are making sure that our growth is to as many offices as we can open per month. So right now we're opening about 24 offices per year. And that's about what our team can handle, which is 2 per month. So we're really not looking at any further, expansion than that. It's just very strategic. And it's pretty much what we can handle. We're making sure, I live by the adage of, Napoleon Bonaparte saying that, dress me slow because I'm in a hurry. And when he used to prepare for battle, he would tell his staff to dress him slowly. Back then, it was very complicated to get dressed for battle, right? So the whole point is let's not make mistakes. Let's get to the battlefield faster by not making mistakes, by not putting something on wrong, right? I always tell, you're late for a meeting, you're rushing. It's a super important meeting. You are driving fast, and all of a sudden you get pulled over by a policeman. Well, guess what? That made you a lot later, right? So dress me slow because I'm in a hurry.
That's great. And I love the idea of strategic growth. And I know that you're looking into international markets as well. So what do you think has been kind of the biggest challenge in that? Because obviously, you want to grow as quickly as you can realistically, and but you have to be very strategic about it. What has been the challenge to that?
Yeah, primarily in the international world is the biggest challenge right now, just because of internationalizing the different currencies, the website, square feet, square meters, currency, addresses are not all the same, and input. So most of it has been really just challenges on the tech side, just to make sure that everything kind of jives and talks. Because again, some countries, we use the address 123, Main Street, Los Angeles, California, blah, blah, blah. Not everybody does that, right? Like some places do use, Main Street number 35, right? And so it's, I think that internationalization of the tech has been definitely kind of our biggest challenge to get things done. And that's kind of what just is keeping us at that 24-month. Language barriers, being able to translate it into French, into Spanish, into Italian, all of these different languages, and not just using a Google Translate, which doesn't do a very good job. It doesn't do a bad job, but it doesn't do a tremendously great job. So yeah, I think those are the biggest challenges.
Okay. And as well as anyone, the market is kind of evolving, and the pace of change really seems faster than ever before. I know you were, like most national brokerages, you had to make some strategic adjustments with operating costs and that. So how are you now preparing your brokerage for tomorrow?
Yeah, look, we are, we've been very lucky. We have grown with no debt. So that's kind of a really nice thing to be able to handle. Right now we've made, decisions to be fiscally responsible. We need to make sure that we're continuing to be fiscally responsible. And right now my budgets for the next couple of years are really just about being break even, to be honest with you, so that we can continue to put money into growth. I'm not looking at this is not my years to make money. These are my years just to continue to grow, gain market share, be smart, be fiscally responsible, as I like to say, not lose money, but gain market share, right? Just put it all back in and just run really balanced budgets. I mean, that's kind of like the name of the game right now for us for the next, until the housing market, until we start seeing a boom again. Right now we're in a housing recession. As people that are willing or not willing to admit it, it's true, it's a fact, and we just need to, get through it. We've seen it many times before. It's not the first, it's not the last. But one of the things that we do know is we will come out of it. So we just need to be prepared for when we come out of it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I just did a podcast with our housing analyst, Logan Matashami, and he feels like the Fed is forcing us into a recession. So
they already did. The problem is we're not admitting it. And so that's also causing the Fed to just continue to go because nobody seems to want to admit it, right? So the faster we admit it, the faster we see the price reset, the faster we see all of that stuff, the Fed will ease off and we'll start on our way to recovery. But we're just not there yet.
Yeah, absolutely. In your book, I want to talk a little bit about the Dealmaker because you talked a lot about having to overcome adversity in childhood. You had some health issues and some other challenges, yet you really have obviously moved above and kind of embraced that adversity to thrive in your real estate business. So tell me how that whole experience set you up for success in real estate or in business in general.
Yeah, it's all about, look, I was born with a blood disease, a terminal blood disease, and I survived it, right? Like right off the bat, I just feel like I'm lucky to be here and I'm lucky to be on the planet, right? So that's kind of a fun way to start your morning every day. Then it's all about, mindset. You learn from, I always say that we all get stronger from our mistakes, from our challenges, from our hurdles. Like when we go through that, and it might be difficult at a certain point, but you just come out so much stronger. Particularly when innately you're already, I'm a competitive guy, and I believe in failure is not an option, right? When you live like that and you wake up every morning like that, and you just have a mindset like that, then guess what? Failure is not an option. Like it isn't. It's not part of that world. And so that's kind of the way I look at it. It's the way it's helped me. I've always grown the company and I've always grown personally during these recessionary times. I talk in the book about being a contrarian, and taking advantage of opportunities. To me, when things are difficult, that's called opportunity. That's not, that because when everything's amazing and easy, everything, everybody just seems to be using their same agents, their same people. They're not willing to change. They're not willing to make a difference. And so you need these difficult times. Difficult times, the only thing that happens is that there's a transfer of wealth. That's really what happens. Money doesn't disappear, right? It's disappearing from one hand and appearing in another hand, right? But it doesn't just disappear. And so, that's when we have the opportunity to, again, make a difference, gain market share, so show that you're resilient. And I just think all of those experiences that have been throughout my life, and that I talk about in my book, are really smart. My book is not, the idea was this, I didn't want to write something that was about the steps of success or the 5 steps to, being the best real estate agent on the planet. Like that's a different book. I wanted to tell stories, my experiences, and what did I learn from those experiences? What insights did I have? What life lessons did I have? How did that change my mind? With the hope that when my readers are reading my book, it's not about, then my mantras. It's not about them picking up my mantras and saying like, oh, I want to live with these mantras. It's really about, each reader saying, ooh, that experience, I had something very similar happen to me. And I didn't really pick up that, that I could learn X, Y, and Z from this. And I see that, and now it's like a light bulb goes off, right? It's a different light bulb. It's not about picking up my mantra, but I'm just hoping that the people that are reading my book have their own insights and their own light bulbs and their own life lessons go off as they're reading my experiences, but not through my experiences. That I trigger an experience, that they had, and that was kind of my intention.
Yeah, I think mindset is so important. I listen to a ton of podcasts on mindset, from Jay Shetty to there's a bunch of different people that I listen to about manifesting, and not in the way of manifesting that most people think, visioning and that. And it is amazing how there's just a couple nuggets that you can pull that really make such a difference. And you've gotten a lot of advice from relatives and that over the years, and you talk about them in your book. What is kind of maybe two of the most impactful lessons that you've learned from them?
Well, one of the things that is constantly asked of me and people struggle with so much is balance. Work-life balance. Family fun balance. All of that stuff. It just that's what people's really struggle with. And my grandfather just was such a simple man, and he always used to say things so simply. And it's like, sometimes when you go back to simple steps, it makes it a lot easier than when you try to complicate everything, right? And
Yeah.
so to me, that simplicity is everything. And when he talks about, since I was a young man, he used to tell me, Mauricio, there's 24 hours in a day, right? Like there's not 25 hours. There's not like, there's 24 hours in a day. You need 8 hours for sleep. Like that's a must, right? Most of us require those 8 hours for work, right? We're not, part of the inheritance club. And then there's 8 hours for play, right? Now, depending on what it is that you're doing in your life, you need to balance that, right? And sometimes if you're working really, really hard and you're launching a business and you're doing a startup, you may need to borrow, 2 or 3 hours from the playtime, right? And so therefore somebody's going to have to sacrifice on that playtime, right? And then you have to start analyzing, well, what does that sacrifice mean? Because the playtime, by the way, is not necessarily playtime. That's the time that you get you time. That's the time that you have to split between you time, your family time, your friends time, the gym, whatever it is that you're doing. You've got to figure out how to fit all of those other things inside those few hours. And in theory, we're not sacrificing too many of the sleep hours, right? I mean, hopefully you're keeping it to 7 or 8 at least, right? When you think of things that simply, I think that's a really good life lesson that I had when I was young and innately, and it's just something that see people have such a struggle with. But if you just think about it, and you simplify it, it really shouldn't be such a struggle. It should just be a simple thing. But I think most of my friends and most of the people and coworkers, that's one of the biggest things that people struggle with is that balance. Work life balance.
Calling all mortgage, title, and insurance leaders. With interest rates shutting down your refinance business, your relationship with your real estate partners is more important than ever. HW Media wants to help you deepen relationships and find success in this competitive purchase market by inviting you to attend Gathering of Eagles. RealTrend's Gathering of Eagles is the real estate industry's premier event, bringing together leaders from the most successful brokerages in the country. For the first time ever, this closed event is open to our full audience. Check out the show notes to find out more, or head over to realtrends.com to purchase your ticket today.
Yeah, especially with remote working, that makes it even more difficult. Are you requiring people to be in the office? It looks like you have a pretty busy office behind you. So, or is it people are choosing to come in, or how are you working that?
Yeah, we're not requiring, but I think a lot of the people, want to start coming in, and more are wanting to come in, and so it's we're encouraging it. I do like working in the office. I think that it just creates more networking, a bunch of other stuff. By the way, there's also a balance on that. Like I can tell you, for me personally, who I'm interrupted all day long when I'm at the office. When I'm at home, I can actually sit down for 2 hours and maybe get something, some real uninterrupted two works of done. There's just again there's got to be balance, and there's the right thing I like the idea of this anywhere office. We're starting to figure out how to change our office where you're not necessarily have like dedicated space and you need to be in your space. It's like, I need to be in the office. I'm going to go there. I've got a locker. I'm going to take out my stuff. I'm going to ride with my laptop. I'm going to sit down and I'll be working in the office. I need the printer. I want to network. I want to see some people, et cetera, et cetera. Or I'm going to work from home. So I think that there's a balance to it, particularly in our business, which is sales. I think that there's a real good, ability to, I think every industry is different, right? So we're in sales. Like, it makes a lot of sense for us to be mobile. We've been mobile anyway as salespeople. We were usually in the car. It's made our car time more, better. All of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What is your maybe favorite story from the book? The one that kind of really sticks with you the most?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many. I can't tell you I have a favorite story. I think they're all my favorite stories, right? And I think, I'm hoping that everybody reads them. I mean, and they're all my favorite stories for different reasons. Whether it was because I was showing properties to, Michael Jackson and working with him, and some stories, you're walking around and all of a sudden, he hears a good acoustic in a house and he starts singing a cappella. That's just magical. I don't know how that gets any better than that, right? Those memories and all that stuff are amazing, and obviously I couldn't even tell every story, about, working with Prince and so many, of our icons. But how I've sold some property to the Emir of Qatar or the Lady Gaga, the struggle story about how my wife was so supportive of me when I came home after I got fired from a job and didn't have any money. That was probably one of the most pivotal stories, in the book in terms of me. And so, I'm going to go with that one. That's going to be my favorite story.
Okay, great. I want to talk a little bit about like some trends that you're seeing in the industry. Obviously, you're super involved in the industry, not just your business, but the industry as a whole. And I feel like these, like you said, there's a lot of opportunity in this type of a market, but there's a lot of innovation in this type of market as well. Whether it's business models, recruiting, new services, products. What are some of the trends you're seeing, and are there any new services or products that you're looking to offer agents that you really think are innovative and new?
I think AI is probably the most important thing, in terms of the most innovative. And the big question is, how do we use it? I think that's still learning in terms of how to use AI for different, things. But that's definitely the most revolutionizing, tech, and not only in our industry, but just period. I think that's, potentially the most important, tech that will change the way that we all work over the next, in the future. Hopefully we'll start seeing the 4-day work week, or the 6-hour work day, and we just bought more hours for play. I don't know, and being as efficient, right? But it's all about using it. It's not about replacing. I've been a huge advocate that real estate agents are not going away. I've been saying that for years. We've now seen the iBuyer program. We've seen a whole bunch of different things that have not been successful. We've seen the discount broker that has not been successful. All of these things have been tried out now, and they have not been successful. So to me, it's really just about making agents more efficient, making their life better, making their services and advisory and consultancy work better. And I think that's really what we all need to be looking at, and not so much replacing us, but making us better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, real estate, no matter what, is about the relationships. And that's how agents are going to thrive, is building those relationships. What are you doing as far as like helping your agents increase their productivity with their sphere? Are there any training, anything that you're doing specifically for that?
We have a lot of training for that. We've got a great lead generating technology that we use, which covers the lead, the follow up, and all of that stuff, and it prompts you. It's really good. We do a lot of training. We're big on training. We have a university online that has lots of videos and lots of tips and all that stuff. Again, we have our CRM system that has the follow up, and the drip campaigns and all of that different stuff. So that you're able to get more business and more leads through your sphere of influence and the people in your database. And so we've just we have all of that stuff that's just super important to us.
And when you look at opportunities in the market, are you looking at a lot of like local M&A with your expansion, or talk to me about where you're seeing the most opportunity to gain market share?
It's a great question. So far we've, apart from the one acquisition that we did in New York, we've always been more about a organic growth. I've always analyzed the organic growth versus the mergers, or versus the acquisition. And so far, unless we find like the right match, something that really just makes a lot of sense from a culture perspective, because culture is the most important thing for us. I'm not opposed to acquisition, but I have found personally that organic growth is just better. The people that when you work through organic growth, everybody that works at your company wants to be there, right? Like they're all excited to be there. They actually joined you, like you didn't acquire them, right? And so and there's so from that perspective, in terms of the cost per acquisition, we've always found that organic growth has been better for us. But that doesn't mean that again, our acquisition and our merger of Triple Mint in New York has been difficult, but it's been great. It's been difficult on the back end stuff, the operations, the just getting everything together and into one system. It's a lot of work. But by the same token, the culture match was such a great fit, that from that perspective, it's been really good.
Great. And obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the real estate transaction and kind of how agents get paid, among other things. So, what are you seeing that might change, how nimble you are, or kind of change the real estate brokerage? And how are you preparing for that?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that question.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things surrounding obviously the real estate commission lawsuits that are happening right now. And a lot of brokers are preparing for those, but it's really difficult to prepare for them because you can't just change your business model on a dime, obviously, or at all. And you may not have to. We don't know what the outcome is. But are there things that you're doing now or strategically talking about, or, just kind of maybe just having discussions about as it relates to those to better prepare just in case?
I mean, we're not, to be honest with you, we're not, we're certainly keeping our eyes on it, but it's the way that, we've been, I mean, it's the way business has been done. I mean, it's been done like this forever, for years. I don't know about anybody changing it right now. I mean, it's very obvious that, commissions are negotiable. And that just, is what it is. But, these class action lawsuits against NAR and all that stuff, it just seems a little bit, I don't know, to me, it seems a little overreaching, but I guess we'll see. Eventually we may all have to change the way we do business. But in the meantime, it is the way it is, right? And I have not seen anybody else out there making any big changes. I mean, you're still cooperating.
Yeah, I've done a couple of surveys, with our Real Trends broker pulse, asking, and really the majority are just keeping an eye on it. There isn't a lot to prep. I mean, yes, you can start requiring your buyer's agents have buyer representation agreements, things like that, but there aren't a lot of things you can really do at this point. So. My final question is really, what's next for the agency? What should we look for in the next 6 months from your company?
Well, we got season 2 of Buying Beverly Hills picked up by Netflix, so we're very excited about that. We're excited to show more about what we do. From our perspective, you'll just continue to see some more growth in ancillary businesses, and hopefully just a lot more efficiencies on what we're currently doing, and expanding our our service program and just getting better at all of that stuff. So, continuing to strive for getting better, and again, a continuous of slow growth, continuing into Europe and the Middle East, and hopefully into Asia pretty soon.
That's great. Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing all your insights. I wish you much luck on the Dealmaker, and also congratulations on your ranking in the RealTrends 500 brokerage rankings and being a top mover. That was huge considering the climate of the last half of last year. So
amazing stats. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and thank you for your time, Tracey.